they do defy the laws of physics. In the movie, we showed Washington Press Club where 80 Air Force officers got together, also frustrated that things they'd seen on radar, alleged vehicles or lights flying, and listen to this, Scott, at thousands of miles per hour, doing right-angle turns without slowing down. And they reported that these lights had even entered missile silos and had affected the operational readiness of nuclear warheads. Now, that's something I never kind of speak about because it sounds like it's just crazy. It's a bridge too far. But recently, that has been revealed by the US government. So that's why there's been a quantum change. No threat to national security, but suddenly, Harry Reid, who was former leader of the House under the Obama administration, admitted that they'd affected America's nuclear arsenal to such an extent that he wouldn't have been able to order a defensive strike or an offensive strike if called upon. Now, people can Google that. They don't have to believe me. They can watch that and him saying that on YouTube. So leader of the House under the Obama administration, basically, after the vice president, he's the next guy in line.
Yeah, wow.
To run the country. And they're the things that he is saying. So there's been a huge shift in the way that the government is now treating the subject.
And how recent was that he said that?
That was just about 3 years ago that came out. And I've got an article on our site. If the people just type in government UFOs on creation.com, they'll see that article. Yeah. And there's even a video of him there talking about that stuff.
Wow. And is that kind of him personally saying that, or is that sanctioned by the government? Was it a...
Well, no, I wouldn't say it was sanctioned. It's not like the government came out and said, we're supporting him. Yeah. But clearly a man in his position, he's senior. He's not a loose cannon. I think it was a staged, a purposeful release. I think he was basically saying, here's a quiet way of admitting that we have seen these things. And there were also investigators at the time who've come out and supported him in that were working for the government at that time and to continue to investigate. He revealed that the Obama administration, we talked about these reports, but we're continuing to spend at least $20 million a year investigating UFOs. So the government is still continuing to investigate them.
Yeah, it's obviously a serious
thing. And that also, I should point out, at the time of him making that statement, that's when the government started to release all of this footage. Never seen that before. I've been investigating this for over 20 years, Scott.
True.
And it blew me away to hear him not only say that, but at the same time they start to release footage. It's quite astonishing. Yeah. I know that they know about it. Other investigators know that they know about it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, they're telling the truth.
Yeah, because this video title that we're filming at the moment is "What are the government not telling us about UFOs?" And so, it's kind of been generally believed, is my understanding, that they've not been telling us a lot for a number of years. But you're saying there seems to be this quantum shift just 3-4 years ago. And I think you can look up news reports of then when they're releasing the videos. Yeah. But at the same time, this guy, Harry Reid, is saying that there's not physical explanation for them. Whereas what you're saying before is these first 3 reports, and so right up until would that be correct to say right up until about 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
What the government was saying was they can all be explained physically. Some of them we don't know where they've come from. That's why they're called unidentified flying object. But they don't do anything strange that we don't understand.
Well, what they would more say, they do recognise that they do things strange.
Okay.
But what they would say is, when things remain unidentified, it's just that we don't have enough access to information. It could be explained naturally, it could be something, but we don't necessarily. So what investigators do, like in MUFON, when they go out and investigate, they look at flight paths and they say, well, are there any strange weather anomalies, etc. But as I said, these do act strangely. They are physics defined. When they're seen on radar flying at incredible speeds and then they suddenly disappear.
Yes.
If you're seeing it on radar, for a moment there's something physical or there's some energy there that has to reflect the radar signal for you to receive it. And then it just vanishes. So that's the stuff, as I said, that they don't talk about. But now they're admitting it. And
so it's the physics defying. They didn't admit it was physics defying, but now they're saying last 3-4 years, we're seeing it and it defies physics.
Yeah. But they're still not saying what it is. And I think there's a good reason. And whenever as we go through this, immediately I can imagine people say, well, the government's covering up. So if they're covering up, they must know what it is. I'm saying, and I'm going to say, they're covering up because they don't know what it is. So Dr. Hynek, who investigated with Project Blue Book, he and another collaborator, his name was Dr. Jacques Vallée. In fact, in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Steven Spielberg, the lead investigator was a Frenchman, and that was based upon a real person, Dr. Jacques Vallée. And at the end of Close Encounters, when the spaceship lands, you'll see a guy come out with a beard and a pipe and a set of glasses. That's Dr. Hynek. So Spielberg was kind of paying homage to him in the movie. And the movie, in part, was actually based upon some of the research and the things they'd found. They even presented to the United Nations their finding on UFOs. And I want to read out something by Hynek, because it's important in terms of my pointing out that the government doesn't know what they're dealing with. He said, in an interview, he said, the phenomenon has psychic aspects. I don't talk about them very much because to a general audience, the words psychic and occult have bad overtones. They say, oh, it's all crazy, but the fact is there are psychic things. For instance, UFOs seem to materialize, dematerialize. There's been a change of outlook, a change of philosophy of persons' lives. Now, those are rather tricky things to talk about openly, but it's there. Many people like Jacques Vallée and I feel to some extent it might be a conditioning process. So this is a man that was investigating UFOs for the government for 20 years, started his own investigation or investigative organization. He and his collaborators came to the conclusion that they say it was psychic. They use words like paranormal, paraphysical.
Wow.
As a Christian, what terms might we use to explain the same phenomena?
Yes.
Supernatural, spiritual. And you're going to see that, in fact, in recent years, that's what more and more investigators actually have been calling it. So rather than the idea that these are highly advanced technological craft, aliens are a million years evolved in advance of us on the time scale, and therefore they can develop warp drive and hyperspace spaceships, etc. Stuff we see in science fiction. That's not happening. We know that. After 80 years, we've never seen these craft enter our atmosphere from outside. They're here. And other people say they exist with us in kind of a co-reality. And so one of the views now is that they might be coming to us from another realm or dimension. That's called the interdimensional hypothesis. And guess what? This fits what I've been saying about the phenomenon all the time, that it's coming to us from another realm or dimension. So in fact, the non-Christian UFO investigator and the Christian UFO investigator, like myself, we both agree now about the nature of the phenomenon. Yes. What it appears like, what it manifests like. What we're probably going to disagree about is its origin.
Yes.
I think its origin is spiritual in nature. The Bible's always talked about a spiritual realm, that there are good spirits and bad spirits, angels, if you like, that would come from that realm, etc. And again, when we look at the Bible's history, those angels, particularly God's angels who he sent, can have affected the environment. Look at the 10 plagues in Egypt, and they can manifest and they can talk to people, etc. Yes. So this is also, what we're seeing with this phenomenon.
Gary, you've mentioned this alien intrusion.
Yep.
It's a documentary. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, well, the book that I wrote, Alien Intrusion, UFOs and the Evolution Connection, is available on creation.com, even on Amazon, available as an ebook. And then people kept saying, you had so many great testimonies in there, make a movie out of it. So that's what we did. So it's a documentary style movie, just over 2 hours. And again, I want to make the point there that a lot of the people we interviewed, like even people we've mentioned today, the majority of them are actually non-Christians. So I want to make this point that if people think we're kind of shoehorning that evidence into our Christian worldview, all the evidence that we've been talking about points to the fact that we're dealing with a paranormal spiritual realm, as some might say. So, and at the end, towards the end, incredibly powerful, you'll see the testimonies of people who've been able to halt their abduction experiences by calling on the name of Jesus Christ. We covered that, discussed that a bit more in the first session that we did a while back called Our Aliens, Demons. So the ministry, as I believe, I only found out today, making this available for people for free.
So the documentary Alien Intrusion, it's a free stream and the link's in the description. Thanks a lot, Gary.
Welcome.